Hi folks, welcome back to Gardening with Ray and Nakusp. So today we're going to discuss compost because we had quite a few requests for that. So one of the first things is to get the appropriate size container for the amount of compost that you can produce. So I have quite a bit of compost material, so I have large containers. So I built them out of pallets, and I have 8 pallets to make a container. And one side comes off quite easily, so I have access to it. But if you have only a little bit of compost, there's those rotating drum ones, which are quite nice, and you can make a nice product with that. So you don't want to have just a huge pile like this and just throw a little bit of compost in and have it sit for a couple of years. So the first thing is to set up your pile according to the amount of material that you produce. Now, this is not the most ideal location for compost. One thing is that I'm underneath the neighbor's trees and it's quite dry. So because it's quite dry, it doesn't compost like it should. So I'm doing what's called slow composting. So this pile over here that I'm making this year, so it's making in 2021, will be accessed in 2023, the spring of 2023. So it's going to sit that long and compost slowly with a little bit of worms in it. My best was when I was in hills and I had a large landscape business. Then I had a really good compost making outfit. I would bring home grass clippings. So the important part of compost is you need nitrogen material and you need carbon material. So nitrogen material is any of the green stuff, like grass clippings are great because everybody knows how much they heat up. Or corn stalks or leaves from your Brussels sprouts, anything green. So that heaps up the pile. Even if you have manure from your chickens, that's great too with bedding. Then you need something for that material to work on because you just can't pile a thick layer of grass clippings up. So what I used to do is I used to say bags of leaves. In the fall we'd rake up leaves and bag them. So I'd have this huge pile of leaves to bagged up. So I'd come home after a day of cutting lawns, I would put a layer of grass down, a layer of leaves, and any other thing that was laying around. So I'd have my nitrogen, my carbon material. And then this is very handy. This was my soil thermometer. And we'll put it in over here. This is a pile that's not very hot, but you can see there's a little bit of warmth in there. So when I would make my piles, I would watch, and one time, as a matter of fact, it went all the way around, and it was at 10. I thought, 10, that's awfully low. And I pulled it out, and it went zoom all the way back. That was quite something.
So you were boiling compost.
I was boiling compost, yes.
And we're looking at Celsius numbers here, correct?
That's right, yes. Yeah. So when I made a pile, then I would test it, and when it started to drop and wasn't rising anymore, the next time I brought home some grass clippings, I would take that pile apart and redo it with grass clippings, and then that would really cook it up again. And my compost piles in those days were just logs, so I would put 2 logs this way, 2 logs that way, sort of cabin style. So it was easy to take apart, and I had lots of land there. So it was easy just to dismantle it and remantle it over here. And but you know this, oh yeah, there we go.
What are we at there? So 2022-ish?
Yeah, and probably would go up to maybe 25 or so.
Okay.
But if you're a serious compost maker, this is very handy. Because then you don't have to dig down there just to see what's going on. Yeah. But my slow compost making does work. It produces a fairly good product. Now, if I watered it, it would be better. And if I had some more nitrogen material, it would be even better.
So when you say nitrogen material, you mean the green stuff?
The green stuff,
yeah,
exactly.
Okay. So green stuff is grass, fresh grass, anything fresh and green?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Or, like I say, if you have chicken manure, the extra, then you can put some of that in, because chicken manure is really a hot manure. But I'll just dig in here, and you can see it's a nice black product. There's not too many worms in here because it's not very moist in there, and mostly everything's all eaten up. But I'm happy with that. You know, it's nice. It's and anything that's not chewed up, I just throw that into the other pile, and it just goes around another time.
It has another couple of years.
It has another couple of years, yep. I mean, I have friends that put sticks in theirs. They chop them up and put them in there, like fine sticks, not huge ones. So if they're living in town, they don't have any way to dispose of them, then they just chop them up quite small and put them in the compost. If you had a shredder, that's really good too. You could shred some of the coarse stuff and put it in. Then it really makes nice compost. It really helps a lot doing that. Straw, old straw that you have used elsewhere, that can go in there too as well. So any garden debris that you have can go into that.
But generally no meat, right?
Generally no meat,
no bones.
Yes, that's right, yes. Yeah.
So do you ever sift your compost and do that kind of thing? Or this is coarse compost, stays coarse, and you use it on plants that are already growing?
Pretty well, yes. It's coarse compost that stays coarse. I'm always looking for the easy, the fast method, because Sundays is my day at home and I don't want to spend half a day sifting compost. So it's, like I say, most of the stuff I put plants out. I could put bean plants out, brassicas plants out, Swiss chard, kale. So I'm not trying to find seeds and have it, obstructed by the coarse material. So I don't mind like a bit of roughage in the soil. It's just fine. So you can see there's a little bit of coarse material in here. And for my brassicas, things like that, that are plants that I'm putting in the ground, I don't mind if there's a bit of coarse material in there. I call it my whole wheat soil. So it's got a little bit of roughage to it. But if it's anything too big, like sticks like this, I'll either take them out and discard them, or else crunch them up a little bit and then throw them into that pile there, and we'll start them over again. But for things like carrots, where I'm wanting to have a nice soil, sometimes I'll just use manure for that. Or else, if I had the time, I would screen this compost. So, if there's not sticks and stuff in there that would disrupt the carrot growth into the ground. Mm-hmm. So this pile here, we finished last fall. So this one will be ready next spring. And then this one I'm using this year. And then that will be ready the spring after. So when this one is emptied out, then that'll be, that'll be for next year's accumulation.
So in 22 you will start putting material in this area.
One, yes. Okay. So here we have a bed that I've added compost to. I put 3 wheelbarrows of compost in this. This is going to be my cauliflower bed, so I want it to be quite nutritious because cauliflowers are really good feeders. They like lots of rich food. And if you reward them that way, then you'll get nice big cauliflowers. So you can see it's all been nicely turned. I know there's I've heard at times that you shouldn't be turning your soil, that it disrupts the microbes in there. But my soil is quite tight yet, and I want plants to grow well. So I find it's best to throw my compost on top with a little bit of Gaia Green and turn it in so it's nice and loose soil. So when I put my plants in there, they'll have lots of room for the roots to spread and grow well.
So if soil is heavier, you need to at least loosen it up a bit, even if you don't do a big digging and turning.
I feel, yeah. I mean, I don't double dig it. I don't go that far. But I take a fork depth and I flip it over, and then I get rid of the lumps. And so you can see you have a nice looking product there. It's going to grow. Things will grow well in that.
Beautiful soil.
Yeah. And it was. I've been doing this garden since 2014 here. When I first came here, it was all lawn. So I pulled up the other lawn and dumped it all onto here. Then I got a tractor in with a rear end rototiller, and he tilled it all up. And then I started making these beds. Now over here, interesting enough, this was so hard, the machine couldn't even till it. He just bounced over top of it. So what I kept doing was just taking stuff when I brought it home, grasses, big stuff, I just kept laying it down here. And then I put mounds of soil for growing squash in. And I did that, all over the place for a couple of years. And then eventually all the material rotted down and the mounds mixed in with it. So now I have wonderful soil here. So I'm really quite pleased with this area. Oh, nice potato. Yeah, actually the other day I got a whole bucket full, so I made a potato salad. It was wonderful.
Spring potato salad.
Spring potato salad. So now it's quite good. So now I can use it to grow my cabbages and my peas, and it's a wonderful addition to my garden.
Mm-hmm. So even because you're using what you call slow compost, the soil doesn't look all the same dimensions. You've got big bits and little bits and all of that,
Right.
and that probably helps it to aerate as well.
That's
right?
what I think too. That's why I call it my whole wheat soil.
Yeah.
So here we are back at the cold frames now. So it's been a few weeks now since we put the spinach and lettuce in there. So now you can see the lettuce is getting really close to being able to be harvested. I mean, I pick the odd leaves here and there to make my spring salads, but it's a semi-head, so I like it to be formed a bit more of a head, and then I can harvest the whole thing. And the spinach is the same thing too. We're picking all the side shoots, but eventually, all going well, I hope the leaves are going to be like this big. So sometimes it's easier to grow a few plants well rather than growing a lot of plants poorly. And mostly I want to use this, I mean, it's my spring greens, but it's also my winter spinach that I'm going to be freezing, so I like it to be quite large, and so I get a good harvest out of it.